The Google Pixel 11 Pro just showed up in early leaks. And if you were expecting a dramatic redesign, this might surprise you. The first Pixel 11 Pro renders suggest Google is sticking with a familiar look, refining the formula instead of reinventing it. And that's a bold strategy, because the Pixel 11 Pro is expected to launch around August 2026, right when competition from Samsung and other Android flagships will be at its peak. Phones like the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra are rumored to bring more noticeable upgrades, meaning Google needs to make every small change count. So what exactly do these Pixel 11 Pro leaks reveal? Let's break down the design, the biggest visual change, the rumored specs like Tensor G6 and RAM upgrades, and what this could mean for Pixel fans waiting for Google's next Pro flagship. First, where's this leak coming from? The new Google Pixel 11 Pro renders were shared by Android Headlines, and they appear to be based on CAD files. These are the technical design files that often get circulated earliest and case makers so they can prepare products. Before the phone officially launches, CAD-based renders usually get the phone shape, dimensions, button placements, and camera layout. Pretty accurate. However, details like the exact finish, color shades, materials, and subtle curves can still change in the final retail unit. Still, when CAD leaks appear this early, they often give us the clearest first look at what's coming. Now, let's talk about what the images show, because the Pixel 11 Pro looks extremely familiar. At first glance, the Pixel 11 Pro design looks almost identical to the Pixel 10 Pro. Google appears to be keeping the same overall body shape, the same flat sides, and the same front display style. That means if you liked the Pixel 10 Pro's clean, minimal design language, you'll probably like what Google is doing here. But if you were hoping Google would push towards something more futuristic, like a major camera bar redesign, slimmer bezels, or a new silhouette, then the Pixel 11 Pro leak may feel conservative. But there is one big visual change, and it's the thing most people will notice immediately. According to the renders, the Pixel 11 Pro camera bar now looks fully black. This is the standout update. The camera bar, which has basically become the Pixel's signature design feature, appears to be finished in a darker, uniform black tone, making the entire rear camera strip look cleaner, more seamless, and more premium modern. And that matters more than people think. A fully black camera bar tends to hide sensor cutouts better, reduces the visual clutter on the back, and gives the phone a sharper contrast, especially if Google pairs it with lighter or more colorful back panels. It's a subtle change, but it can make the device look more refined in photos, marketing renders, and in real life. Outside of that, the rest of the rear layout looks very familiar, still very Pixel, still very Google. On the front, the display is expected to keep thin bezels, but the leak suggests they may not be as razor-thin as some competing flagships. In particular, rivals like the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra are often expected to push screen-to-body ratio harder, with slimmer borders and a more all-screen look. So if Google is keeping bezels similar to the previous generation, then Google will likely need to win the Pixel 11 Pro battle through other strengths: camera processing, AI features, software, and long-term updates. Now let's get into rumored Pixel 11 Pro specs, because the design isn't the only thing being discussed. Based on the early information tied to these leaks, the Google Pixel 11 Pro is expected to feature a 6.3-inch display, Google's next-gen Tensor G6 processor, potentially 16 GB of RAM, with a possibility of 12 GB, depending on variant region. Storage starting at 256 GB IF. These specs are accurate. They tell us exactly what Google is trying to do with the Pixel 11 Pro. Tighten up the Pro experience and reduce the compromises. A 6.3-inch display suggests Google is continuing to target the Pro, but not massive category premium size, without going into oversized territory. That's an important segment, because a lot of people want flagship cameras and flagship performance without carrying a huge phone every day. The Tensor G6 is the bigger story. Google's Tensor chips aren't just about raw benchmark speed. They're built around AI workloads and device machine learning, camera processing, voice features, and the kind of Pixel exclusive smart tools Google loves to highlight. So if Tensor G6 delivers a real jump in sustained performance, efficiency, and thermal management. It could make the Pixel 11 Pro feel noticeably faster and more consistent, especially for gaming, camera recording, and heavy multitasking. RAM is another key detail. If the Pixel 11 Pro really does move to 16 GB RAM, that could be a major quality of life upgrade for power users. More RAM helps with long-term performance, better app switching, heavier AI features running on-device, and smoother multitasking. And since Google is pushing more AI features every year, extra RAM could become essential rather than nice to have, and starting storage at 256 GB would be a welcome move, because more users are shooting 4K video, taking tons of photos, downloading offline content, and relying less on constant cloud access. Now here's the big question. Is this enough? Because based on these early Pixel 11 Pro leaks, Google is playing it safe on design. That means the Pixel 11 Pro's success will depend on whether Google delivers meaningful upgrades in areas that matter day-to-day, like battery life, charging speeds, camera hardware improvements, display brightness, and thermal performance. And that's where competition gets intense. The Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra, which the Pixel 11 Pro is expected to compete against, is rumored to feature more noticeable upgrades, typically in display tech, camera hardware, zoom performance, and overall flagship polish. Samsung also tends to push ultra-thin bezels, brighter panels, and more aggressive hardware changes year over year. So if Google is keeping the Pixel 11 Pro design nearly the same, then Google has to make the experience feel new through software innovation, camera performance, AI tools, and real-world smoothness. Now, one more thing to keep in mind. These Pixel 11 Pro renders are not official images, they're CAD-based renders. That means the size and shape are likely very close to final button. Placement and camera layout are usually accurate, but finishes, colors, and small design touches can still change. So it's possible Google will still surprise us with new colorways, a different texture, updated materials, or small refinements that don't show up clearly in CAD renders. But as of right now, the message from the leak is clear. The Pixel 11 Pro will look like a Pixel, just a slightly cleaner, more refined one, and for a lot of people, that's exactly what they want. If you're a Pixel fan, the Pixel 11 Pro leak suggests Google is focusing on evolution, a cleaner camera bar design, a compact Pro-sized display, a next-gen Tensor G6 chip, and potentially a RAM boost up to 16 GB. With higher base storage, now the only thing left is the biggest mystery: what Google is doing with the camera hardware, battery life, and charging, because those are the upgrades that could truly separate the Pixel 11 Pro from the Pixel 10 Pro. So if this leak is accurate, would you rather have a bold new Pixel redesign? Or do you prefer Google keep the same look and focus on performance, AI features, and camera results? Either way, with an expected August 2026 launch window, we're likely to see more Pixel 11 Pro leaks soon, especially about the cameras. Stay tuned.